You know, spiders, most of the time, like, you make me, like, vomit a little bit in my mouth, but, like, right now, I'm kind of turned on. Where'd you get that sweater?
Oh, the hoodie? First of all, that's mean. Second of all, these hoodies are back in stock at the Barstool store. Go get yourself one. Limited supplies, so you gotta move quick. Who knows if they're ever coming back. They're back in stock now for who knows how long. Go, go, go.
Hey, everybody, welcome on back. It's the Rubbin is Racing podcast. It's myself, it's Spider, it's Quiggs in the commander's chair today, and it's Liam behind the ones and twos. I'm currently in the Bahamas, getting sunburnt like you fucking read about. This podcast is brought to you by NASCAR. NASCAR's got an exciting season that we talked about all season on this podcast. The next race is the Food City Dirt Race in Bristol Motor Speedway Dirt. Tune into Fox on the 9th at 7 p.m. Eastern time for all the action. Bristol Dirt's going to be the one and only dirt race this season. There's a bunch of other shit going on for the 75th anniversary of NASCAR, probably highlighted by the Chicago Street Race, which is coming up on July 2nd. It'll happen around 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. I believe you're going to be able to catch that on Fox also. So again, Bristol this weekend, Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's under the lights, it's on the dirt, and you can catch it on Fox. All right, guys, welcome back. Headlines from this week. We usually tape on Wednesdays, as you guys know. So the fines that had come down for Suarez has happened since we had spoke last time. We weren't able to comment on that. I said he should have been thrown in a volcano. He wound up getting fined. Certainly not enough in my eyes. And also something that had happened since we had last spoke is that Hendrick had their point deduction waived, but the suspension and the fine stayed, which doesn't make much sense to me. Like if somebody, and I know NASCAR doesn't decide when they go to arbitration on these things. It would be unfair if NASCAR was the one to decide in arbitration whether or not their fines and deductions were worthwhile. But it seems like the appeal committee said, you know what, keep the money. I mean, we're going to keep the money, keep the suspensions with you guys. You're going to have to be suspended, the pit crew and whatnot that had to be suspended. But we're going to take away the point deductions that we'd given you guys. So a lot of people in the NASCAR world are chirping about how Hendrick is the fair-haired child of NASCAR and how they're shown some degree of favoritism. But all that probably takes a backseat to what Spider had sent us today. Spider had sent us today that he had seen that Adam Stern had put up on Twitter that NASCAR teams are planning to collectively not show up to today's team owner council meeting with NASCAR. He called it a symbolic boycott because they feel the new revenue talks are not progressing. Then it was confirmed by Pockris. They didn't show up. They did boycott the meeting scheduled for today. So this meeting wasn't necessarily to discuss the new revenue distribution model. That's not what the meeting was being called for. But the reason that they boycotted it was, in all intents and purposes, because of the revenue distribution. The teams want more. They want to make more money without relying solely on their sponsors. So what happens here, boys? Are we in trouble? Is the season in trouble? Is this something that goes from a boycott of a council meeting to all of a sudden a full-blown strike?
Listen, there's been a lot of talk this year about all the new TV deal that's coming, and I don't really know specifically what needs to be done, but I do think it's super important for NASCAR to hear and appease the team owners. Now, there's been a lot done in terms of the sponsorships. They've already gotten, I've seen people on Twitter replying to this tweet mentioning the fact that the numbers have moved forward, the cars have been cut down on horsepower, the weekend's already been chopped down so much. So NASCAR gives in to the sponsors and gives theirs. So I think they just need to be more fair about what they're willing to do. And I think it starts with I don't know. You got to have these guys at the table. They need to be on good enough terms where they can even negotiate. But otherwise, I think we might be in trouble.
It happens in all sports where they'll do this. Both sides will play hardball, and then they'll get close to the deadline and realize that nobody's going to make any money if they don't just agree on something and start racing. So I don't know. I don't think any sort of lockout or anything comes from this. I think it's just both sides will play these games for a little while and then realize they need to make money and just get some sort of deal.
I look at the viewership every week. Like I look at how Fox is doing viewership every week. And when I say that it's down incremental every week, market share wise and eyes that are on the product wise, and it's down across the board. for all motorsports. I don't know if it's down across the board with other sports as people move away from the traditional way of watching sports, watching on your phones. I don't know if it's just like a broader thing. But what I've seen doesn't lead me to believe that Fox or NBC is going to start paying up for the NASCAR product. So I don't know if that bodes well for team owners thinking that they're going to make more money. So it's a huge headline that Spider put 2 headlines in front of me, and one of them incensed me this week, and then this one scares me a little bit. But the second one was, I think Texas Motor Speedway did away with the 6 guns.
Yeah.
And that I mean, I don't know, we can't have anything fucking nice anymore, because that's kind of like one of the more iconic things. You see a winner with the big stupid cowboy hat and the 6 guns, and to all of a sudden take that away. And listen, I don't own a gun. I'm not an NRA guy or anything like that. But it just seems like when they said they were doing away with that symbolism, I was like, oh shit, I can go on an old man rant about that. But then when you threw me this, I don't know what's going to happen. Is
that permanent, or did they kind of just say it's bad timing this year?
It sounded like it was indefinite, but then again, I didn't really read. I think I saw the headline.
Yeah.
Or I saw whatever I sent.
I just didn't know if it was like bad timing with the, I don't know, the
tone deaf
shootings
with the
that went
Houston.
on. Yeah.
I mean, I certainly think so. And you know what? That's like shame on me too, because sometimes there are so many goddamn shootings, which is probably one of the problems with them having, gun symbolism, but there's so many goddamn shootings that you tend to sort of move on from these things so quickly when you're not in that state or whatever. So to put that together, if they're going to do it for 1 year because it seems tone deaf in the wake of a school shooting within the state, then I agree with it. If they do away with it altogether, I'm just not a fan. More importantly, go ahead.
I got a take for you. I'm like Chase Elliott. I think he said on our show at some point in the past that Texas was one of his least favorite tracks. He just wants it demolished. I'm kind of with him. Let's bring we also talked to Tyler Reddick last week, who said he misses Road America. So, you know what? If we're going to take the trophy, take the track. Let's put Road America back on track. NASCAR's got a plethora of great trophies as it is. You can fill up your trophy case with the grandfather clock, with the cowboy boots, with the guitar you win at Nashville. There's so many cool trophies. So, you know what? I'm cool with this, and I think it's the right thing to do. I think it should be permanent, and take the track with it.
Okay, just get rid of the whole fucking track. That's a hot take. One of the things that I think people are talking about this week too is Denny Hamlin, right? Denny Hamlin, in the wake of getting in trouble for mentioning, spinning somebody out on his podcast, and then him running through JJ Yeley last week, and basically on accident. I mean, there was no way you could watch the dashboard cam from that and see that it wasn't purposeful, and then him saying that it was a total accident. That seems to be changing it's changing the narrative, I think, particularly with Denny Hamlin, that you can no longer say it seems like NASCAR now is able to crack down on what you say. And we're a NASCAR sponsored podcast, right? So we can shit on them, and I don't know if they're going to give us some sort of fine or some sort of suspension. But it seems like Denny Hamlin at least learned his lesson, and so he may start to lie a little bit about what was obviously a purposeful run through of JJ Yeley. So is it done for Denny? Is he done telling the truth on his podcast, which is a great podcast? Everyone loves it.
It's a slippery slope, but yeah, I think the fact that JJ was adamant that it was intentional and that Denny wanted a caution was pretty concerning. Also, like, that's the second time late in a race where we've seen Denny kind of, whether it be purposeful or not, get into another driver. He did it to Chastain. He did it to JJ now here. So I don't know. I just feel like it's a tough move. I think Denny should have been in contention to win this race, and he shouldn't been even in the position, whether it be incidental or not, that he was with JJ.
It is one of those things where the only way you're going to get caught for sure is if you say it. Like anything that's happening during the race, you can have a little bit of plausible deniability that you did it on purpose. And the only way they can really get you is if you verbally say, I did it on purpose. So, I mean, that's what we, like the few suspensions and fines we talked, like the Harvick way back in the day, he got in trouble because he said it on his radio that he's doing it on purpose. Hamlin said it on his podcast. Like, I'm guessing Hamlin just will never say that again.
Yeah, I think he just learned his lesson, and it makes it it makes him less interesting to talk to, I think.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that's not a dig on Denny Hamlin, but when he can have like free speech, just say whatever the fuck he wants, I think he's wildly entertaining. I'm going to Richmond. Trucks, 20-year-old Carson Hocevar. Actually wasn't at Richmond. The Trucks ran at Texas Motor Speedway, as we had mentioned this week, and he got his first career win in double overtime. And then on Saturday, Xfinity, rookie Chandler Smith earned his first career Xfinity Series victory. Saturday at Richmond, holding off John Hunter Nemechek on a final race restart with 6 laps remaining. So 2 youngsters had won earlier in the weekend before we got to Saturday. And then Saturday, Kyle Larson won. I'm going to start off by talking about what I had said about Kyle Larson last week. I said he might be on the hot seat. I misspoke. I didn't think that Kyle Larson was going to be fired if he didn't win a race pretty soon, but he just had such, almost got it. Like he got so close to it a couple of times. And I think it had to be a little bit of a frustrating season for him so far, that I thought that the pressure might be on for him to win. I think that's basically what we had said. And if anyone has been a big supporter of Kyle this season, I think you couldn't find a bigger supporter than Spider, including this weekend where he wound up winning a bunch of money, right?
Yeah, no, I'm a big Kyle Larson fan. I think I was hard on him last week, but I think it was kind of for good reason. And that reason is that I have a big future on Kyle Larson to win the NASCAR Cup Series. We've seen him do it in 2021. And then in 2022, he kind of regressed a little. Now, I know there was a lot with the new cars and a lot of new variables, but I still believe he's probably the best pure talent driver in the whole sport right now, active. And yeah, I have a future on him. I live bet him this weekend after I saw him. I saw him go as high as 16-1 large, and I said, you know what? If his car even can get back to where it looked early in this race, I think he's got a shot at winning. So also, not to mention, for like 4 weeks, I think this year we've had either Kyle Larson or Kyle Busch or one of them, some combination, to win the race as our boosted play. So yeah, we're very big Kyle Larson fans. We're just a little bit hard on him. We want to see him win for the sake of my future, for the sake of the sport. I think it was great domination in 2021, and I think we're kind of might be in store to see more of that with the rest of 2023. Now with this win under his belt, I think his confidence is going to be through the roof.
We typically have the winners every week. We typically have the winners on this podcast. We don't have Kyle this week, and it's more of a scheduling thing with me traveling, you guys traveling. But it's one of those things that doesn't break our heart because I'm pretty sure Kyle's going to be in the winner's circle again. So we'll definitely have him later on in the season.
Maybe this week.
Maybe this week. I thought what was pretty interesting was Josh Berry's performance. I mean, to run P2 and then the Garage Guys who tweeted, Garage Guys, great podcast also, something that I thought was pretty cool. Chase Elliott having his relationship with Hooters, that whenever Chase Elliott gets a top 10 finish, Hooters gives away fried pickles on Monday. So Josh Berry running P2 at Richmond and Hooters giving away the free pickles on Monday. I thought that's kind of cool. And to listen to Josh Berry afterwards, it was one of the questions that I was going to ask Kyle Larson. Like, to have a guy like Josh Berry win that race, in these close seconds win that race, does it ever even cross his mind? Like, I don't think any other teammates, and we've seen so many teammates, particularly with Hendrick running 1 and 2 this season, I don't think any time during the season does a teammate say, you know what, you go and win. But is it one of those things where that would be such a huge story for a guy like Berry and a huge story for a team like Hendrick, that it would be like, is there a situation maybe late in the season if Kyle had a bunch under his belt and Chase wasn't back? Has it ever happened? Is it ever something that would happen, that somebody would let their teammate win?
How about early in the season at Daytona 500, perhaps, with Dale Earnhardt blocking for his teammate Michael Waltrip and his son Dale Jr. running 1-2 ahead of him? I think that's probably an instance of maybe the best car not winning intentionally for the betterment of their team. So yeah, probably one of the most iconic instances of that occasion. But that being said, I don't think that was ever on the table for Hendrick this weekend. Quigs, I don't know how you feel about that, but to me, I don't know. Larson was cut out for the win.
Larson wouldn't, I don't think, give that up. I don't know if it would ever happen. I think it would have to be a last race of the season. This guy needs to
Right.
win to get
If this
in.
were 2021 season and Larson already had like 6+ wins under his belt or whatever it was, maybe late.
Even then, I don't know if he does.
You're right, because then it's like playoffs and
Like, just intentionally letting somebody go by is such a look that, like, I don't know. You build a reputation that people would give you shit for. But
They got their points back before the race. Like
That-
if he was still docked those points, and again, I don't think that he would ever do this. I was just going to ask him if it went through his mind more so than it would have otherwise because of the situation.
I'm glad
Because
you
of Josh
mentioned that,
Perez.
Large.
Yeah.
That also, when we recorded last week, that was at a point in time when Hendrick was still facing the penalties and that had not
Right.
been reversed. So a little bit more context for our comments regarding Kyle Larson. The outlook was a little gloomy at the time. And he's since turned it around with a win and the exoneration of his penalties. So yeah, I think all things are good for Kyle Larson moving forward. But I don't
By
think
the
he
way,
was giving Barry that win.
The point deduction that Hendrick had waived hasn't been waived as of now. We're taping on Wednesday morning for the Colleague driver, right? Colleague also had some points deducted.
Justin Haley,
but
I think.
Justin Haley, and their appeal gets heard today. So that might change before this weekend's race also. Maybe NASCAR's appeals committee only does one a week. I don't know. But Justin Haley's appeal will be heard today. So perhaps he'll get his points back because he's been working with negative points. All right. So after Kyle Larson won, Mike Joy got all choked up at the end. I don't know if you guys seen that, but Mike Joy almost started crying because Larson's paint scheme was the same as Ricky Hendrick. And Ricky Hendrick would have been celebrating his 43rd birthday on Sunday. So it just happened to be something that Joy had in his back pocket. And when he started to talk about it, it was kind of cool to see him get a little bit emotional because I'm sure he had, relationships with all these drivers for such a long time. So on the Twisted History of NASCAR segment this week, I'm going to talk about Ricky Hendrick, if that's cool with you guys, because I think it's one of the cooler little nods that NASCAR does to like a fallen member. Ricky Hendrick's dad is Rick Hendrick. I said Hendricks a couple of times in past podcasts because I don't know, Jimi Hendrix fan or something like that. Ricky Hendrick was only 24 years old in October 2004 when he died on a plane crash with 9 other people while they were on their way to Martinsville. And then only 5 days after he died, his fiance had learned that she was pregnant with his kid. She gave birth to their daughter, who she named Ricky with an I, out of Ricky Hendrick, in June the following year. So real tragic story. But the following week after the Ricky Hendrick crash, there were a bunch of tributes at the next race. And then Jimmy Johnson, who won that race, was the Bass Pro Shops MB&A 500. Jimmy Johnson and the rest of his teammates and crew wore their caps backwards in Victory Lane as a tribute to Ricky Hendrick, who had a habit of doing the same every time he won a race, which I never knew about. So Jimmy had done that first. And then even in Victory Lane, a reporter had gone up to him and Jimmy had said, the number 6 car was coming at me, meaning Mark Martin, but I had 10 angels riding along, symbolizing the 10 people who had died in the crash, which I thought was kind of a cool thing to say. So now teams who win in Hendrick Motorsport cars continue the tradition of turning their caps backwards in the winner's circle to honor Ricky after every race win. And they did it this week when Larson had won. So I think it's a cool thing as I'm learning more about NASCAR history, I'm just getting more and more impressed with some of the shit that they do that we kind of take advantage of.
I love that, Large. I didn't know
I
that.
didn't know that
I was
either.
aware of William Byron's big hat thing, but I was not aware
Yeah.
of the backwards hat. That's much, very
Yeah.
interesting.
And fucking tragic story.
Yeah, it is.
So we're going to put a wrap, we're going to put a bow on Richmond by having Spider give us the over-under of what he saw this weekend.
Yeah, over under Richmond, I was very impressed with a couple drivers. Michael McDowell finished 6th, coming off a 12th place finish last week at COTA. He's been running pretty well, so shout out Michael McDowell on a top 10 finish. Ty Gibbs finishing 9th 3 weeks in a row now after this weekend. So I think Ty Gibbs has run really well, especially for a rookie, and I think we can comfortably say that right now, it looks like he's winning the Rookie of the Year over Noah Gragson, who's been struggling with Legacy Motor Club. Josh Berry, obviously got to give hats off to him. 2nd place finish in a car that's not his. Unbelievable performance. Great story. It would have been awesome to see him win, but I think the right car won. Under, I was very disappointed, and with the Toyotas not named Christopher Bell and Ty Gibbs, because those guys got a top 10 finish for Joe Gibbs Motorsport, a team that notoriously finishes pretty well at Richmond. And I thought they were going to do the same here this weekend, given that it's the Richmond or the Toyota Owners 400. But yeah, Denny and Truex kind of disappointed me, but I'm more disappointed and underwhelmed with Martin Truex, crew chief. He didn't even relay to him that he put used tires on the car. So I was watching that restart, and I thought Truex had a shot to win for our boosted Truex or Denny to win on the Barstool Sportsbook, and Truex just sank like a rock. And come to find out, they just didn't tell him that they put old tires on his car when he's going for the lead. So yeah, underwhelmed with Martin Truex, crew chief. Got to be better. Those are my over-unders from the weekend. What do you got, Large, Quigs, anything?
No, I thought the Truex thing was crazy. Like, it was just very bad tire management, like, throughout the race. They just ran through everything. And then you have to let him know that he's on old tires.
Yeah, that's...
Like, they weren't crazy old. I think they had 7-8 laps on them, but I would assume you're racing a lot different if you think that you have brand new slick tires on compared to like some scuffs. It's just strange that they don't just say like on the radio, "Hey, these aren't new."
He did just start dropping.
Yeah,
he dropped like a rock.
Yeah.
It shows.
Finished 11th.
Yeah. I mean, he was probably running lines that he thought he could run with new tires, and he just was getting loose on them.
Do I sound like an asshole if I continue to shit on Legacy Motorsports to say that they continue to underperform?
No,
I mean, it just seems
they have.
No,
yeah, go ahead.
I think you're right to a certain extent. I do think you have to mention Eric Jones's unbelievable finish at Atlanta with that rocket ship finish there. He did get a top 10 there, and I don't know.
But that's if the highlight of their season is a guy that picked up 8 spots on the last lap to finish what, like 12th?
No, 8th.
Yeah, 8th. Whatever. Like if that's their highlight of the season, they're not doing very well.
I'm not writing them off just yet, is all I'm saying. I think they can turn it around. I think Ty Gibbs is, like I said, winning the Rookie of the Year battle between the two right now, between him and Noah. But who's to say that doesn't change?
Yeah, it might.
Yeah, but
I think
I was at a dance recital. How about this little slice of life? And I'd seen a guy who had the Guns N' Roses T-shirt on, the Guns N' Roses car, Eric Jones. And I went over. I was like, "Oh my God, that's a great scheme." He's like, "Yeah, I know." And then blah, blah, blah. And then we spoke about Eric himself, and we were like, "Yeah, great branding, and the cars aren't that good." So yeah, you look at the 8th place finish at Atlanta, but then 37th Daytona, 19th in Fontana, 19th in Las Vegas, 21st in Phoenix, 23rd in Coda, now 31st in Richmond.
Let me ask you
Jimmy
this.
Johnson, whatever he gets behind a wheel, it just seems to be disappointing too. Not his fault necessarily, but I just think that whenever we mention underperformers, I can't help but kind of pile on these guys a little bit.
They've just been boring, which is not what you want from, I think their goal was to kind of have a flashy new race team. You don't want your description to be that you've been boring all year.
And I love the brand, like the Legacy Motor Club, how it looks like almost a soccer team type thing. So I think they're doing everything well, except running very fast cars. Yeah. And that's a problem.
Great t-shirts.
So
I don't know. Do you think that Ty Gibbs can run top 10 every week? He's done it 3 weeks in a row. So my question is, like, as much as we're saying Legacy is bad and Ty Gibbs is good, like, I don't know. I don't think there's either really sustainable.
No, I mean, things can change, but I would say as of right now, from what we've seen, that's kind of my read on the Legacy.
All right.
And that's where we fall into that trap because it's early in the season. So I'll say something stupid like Kyle Larson's on the hot seat 7 races into it, honestly, because we just see week after week what's happening to these drivers. So I'm sure after week 27, we'll have maybe a different opinion. I hope so, because I like all the guys at Legacy and I want to see them do well. It's just they haven't so far. All right, so that puts a bow on Richmond. Before we move forward to Bristol, we don't have Kyle Larson this week. Like I said, we're probably going to get him after his next win and certainly before he runs in the championship in Phoenix. So we're going to run the Josh Williams interview. We talked to Josh Williams last week. We spoke to him a week after his suspension for parking on the start finish line, and he's just a wonderful guy. He's a wonderful guy. I don't know if I got inappropriate talking about his wife. You can make that decision for yourself. But either wide, we're about to go 3 wide with Josh Williams.
Yeah, drop some bonks in the comments if you guys feel that you need to.
Yeah, if you need to.
All right, so we try to speak to everybody. We try to speak to all the winners, everybody who means anything. Last year was the most iconic moment of last year was Chastain riding the wall. I think when they look at the end of the 2023 season, someone's going to show a picture of Josh walking off, throwing up the heart. It's going to be one of those things that people are going to reflect on. So Josh Williams, he drives number 92 Chevy Camaro for DGM Racing, and he's the bad boy of NASCAR, except people don't fucking hate him. People don't hate him, but maybe NASCAR does. Everyone's kind of been endeared to him since he had was told to park, and he said, you know what, I am going to park it. I'm going to park it right on the start-finish line, and I'm going to walk out of this bitch. Josh, welcome aboard, and I want to ask you right away, what's it like being in the penalty box? And listen, you've spoke about this on other shows, so you might be tired. You wouldn't be tired if you would have fucking come on our show last week like I asked. I'm just joking. But, like, can you walk us through what happens when you get in trouble with NASCAR from the time you walked out of your car until the time they finally gave you a slap on the wrist?
Yeah, so, I mean, you know, we got the damage, lost the bearer bond, caution comes out. NASCAR tells us to park it, and I didn't think it was real. I was like, there's no way. Like, that's not a real thing. So, finally, by the time I slowed down and stopped, I was trying to wait on somebody to tell me what was going on, and my spotter's like, "Yeah, no, they're serious. They want us to park it." So I was already parked, so I just hopped out and walked across the infield. I waved at the flagman. I mean, we're all good friends, right? So I waved at them, and they really didn't want to wave back at me. They kind of like did that little side wave deal, like. Eh. And when I took my helmet off, I heard the crowd, and I was like, "Man, these people are going nuts." And I was like, There's no way it's, you know, because I'm walking across the infield, but it was. So I waved back at them, and, you know, the rest is kind of history from there. But, man, I was in the hauler. There's still like 140 laps to go, and I sat in there the whole time. They wouldn't let me change. They wouldn't let me have my backpack, my phone, nothing.
So you're without a cell phone. You're in a hauler, fully dressed. You're allowed to take your helmet off. At any point, does Mr. Phelps come in with like a ruler and start slapping you on the wrist? Or what, like, did they wait until the race was over to really put the put you to the fire? Yeah.
So basically, once the race was completely over, they Wayne come down from the tower, and he told me what I did wrong, and you know, we had a good conversation about it, and we kind of voiced our side, and you know, he voiced his side about the penalty, and then he voiced his opinions on my reactions to the penalty. But, you know, when it was all over, we all shook hands and, you know, moved on from it. So it's served my suspension. So we're going to be back, baby. We're going back to Richmond.
Well, we'd love to see it. But aside from obviously the fans loved it, you mentioned they cheered you on as you walked across the infield. I want to know what the reaction was like from your team, the owners, as well as the sponsors you ran on the car.
Yeah, I mean the team, everybody on the team owner Mario, I mean, they were mad about the call. Not mad at any shape or form at me. You know, Mario called me a couple days later, and he's like, "Man, I just want you to know," he's like, "I'm with you. You know, I'm not mad at you. I'm for nothing. You know, I respect what you did," and he was behind me 100%. So that means a lot. And our sponsors, man, they were right there with him. You know, they were posting that they're behind me, and they like me as a person and what I do for the sport. So it was pretty cool to see, you know, everybody kind of rally behind me, and really didn't get any backlash at all from our partners in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I would imagine they would be pretty happy with the exposure that you got on them with all the coverage and everything that transpired. But sorry, Larch, go ahead.
Well, has it turned into that? Like we've seen in other sports that maybe Colby Covington doesn't get the shots that he got in the UFC unless he put on that MAGA hat and did like that song and dance. You know, in other sports, it seems like if you do something that's relatively viral, you get more eyes on you. That's certainly good for you guys who are walking billboards. Does NASCAR need more of that? Do they need more of, you know, throwing a punch afterwards to somebody who had spun you? And are you conscious of that maybe you do have to be splashy, ride the wall around, you know, which made Chastain a fucking household name? Like, do we need more of that WWE in NASCAR?
I mean, you know, there's times where it's needed and times where it's not, right? So, I mean, I grew up in South Florida racing short tracks, man. I mean, people's throwing jack handles at me, water bottles, all kinds of crazy stuff.
Right.
So, you know, that's just how it was. I mean, I was short track racing, and you know, back in the day in NASCAR, you seen a lot of people. I guess what they did. I mean, they fought about it or whatever it may be. But you know, these days they go on Twitter and they talk to each other for 10 minutes and complain about what happened, and then they move on. And you know, I mean, I think a lot of the fans, they want that old school guy. They want to see the drivers have emotion and really be, you know, into the sport and show passion, right? I mean, this is our job. You know, this is what most of us do for a living. But I mean, you got to love the sport, right? I mean, you got to care about what happens on the racetrack. And, you know, I really care about what happens on the racetrack. So I don't know, maybe we'll get the opportunity one day. We'll get into it with one of the heroes and we can fight about it on the front stretch.
I know you said that you didn't want NASCAR to pay hit you with a monetary fine because you couldn't afford to pay it. So instead, they pivoted to the race suspension. What were your thoughts on that penalty, and do you regret revealing kind of your cards because they pivoted their penalty?
I don't think so. I feel like they were going to suspend me regardless. But you know, the money thing is kind of an issue. But, you know, we didn't get any points, which in theory we still lost points, right? Because I wasn't at the race at COTA. But so, I mean, that's going to hurt us as well. So basically, I mean, that was the biggest thing they could have done to us was you know, skipping a race. And it's just the same as losing points. So we kind of got both of those out of that deal. And we're just going to try to make it up. You know what I mean? We got to hustle hard and put in some work. I'm here at the shop in Mooresville now. We've been here for 2 days now trying to get this Richmond car ready. And we're fixing to go to the dyno here in a minute, but you know, we're putting a lot of effort in and doing the right things so we can make those points back up and get back to where we need to be.
How frustrating was the week off? Like you know, most people don't mind weeks off. How frustrating was watching? Where did you watch the race this week?
I just followed it along on Twitter. I was actually at a birthday party with some family and kind of enjoyed the weekend, to be honest with you. Just relax a little bit. I mean, I'm always going and working and racing everywhere. So it was kind of nice to have a little weekend off and kind of enjoy myself before we get back after it.
Do you mind, and don't bonk me for this, but before I knew you, I knew your wife. So for people who don't know, Josh is married to a young lady named Treasure Ray, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, and she's one of the reasons why Josh is one of the heavier guys in the Xfinity circuit and why I'm one of the heavier guys in the podcast circuit. I make these candied fucking cowboy candies. It's pickled jalapenos that she does and makes them sweet. Absolutely delicious. And then I use like the brine for all this other stuff. I make like a skillet cornbread because of her. Spider, I'm telling you, we're going off topic here a little bit.
How come
but she's unbelievable.
You've never shared any of this shit with me.
I don't bring it to the house.
Yeah, he never has any leftovers. This guy just eats it all.
But she seems like she's hands-on. She's cooking out of the trailer a lot with you guys, or at least that's what I've seen with some of the stuff. How pissed was she at you for fucking up the bag a little bit by getting out of the car a couple weeks ago?
Oh, she was jacked up, man.
Oh, was she?
I mean, she was all excited. She's like, heck yeah, that was awesome. Like, you know, good for you. And I mean, she's been with me forever. You know, I mean, we got together in 2010, and I mean, she's seen all the short track fiascos and the fights in the pits and, you know, the late hours in the shop and things like that. She's been there through every bit of it. And she's had to bring me dinner numerous times at, you know, midnight, 1 a.m. while we're still working on race cars. So.
Ooh, can we cook with her? At
We
Talladega?
should.
Yeah, so our next stop is Talladega. I should set something up, like where I do like a little thing where I cook with her.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're invited yet. We'll work that that out as the details come around.
I'll see if I can get a coupon or something.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. So a lot of times when you're the bad boy of NASCAR, like I said from the beginning, it sort of comes to people that, you know, you want to hate. Like we talked about how Kyle Busch had reinvented himself, where people are actually clapping for Kyle Busch now, which is a wild thing to see. You're not a scumbag. And I think one of the things that's very noble about you is all the stuff you do with children's hospitals in particular. Josh6williams.com is where you go and get the T-shirt. You get all of his gear, but you particularly get the T-shirt that commemorates, his suspension and all that stuff. Give us an idea of the stuff that you do at hospitals, because I think it's awesome.
Yeah, so we've been doing the hospital stuff since 2015. We had a mutual friend that was one of their relatives was in the children's hospital down in Florida battling leukemia, and we took a race car there and hung out for a little while and met some of the other kids, and they would come down and check out the car, and we'd meet the parents and everything. And man, I left that place in tears. I was
Yeah.
tore up. Like I couldn't handle a lot of that stuff, and it really makes you think about how lucky you are and how fortunate you are, to be healthy and not have to battle things like that. And man, I don't know now. I don't know who gets more enjoyment out of it. I don't know if the kids do or I have more fun with it, but it's cool to see even the parents, you walk in the rooms, or they come see the car, or sometimes they come to the track, and you just get to see that enjoyment. You see that they forget about everything that is going on. They forget about every issue that they have, for that little bit of time. And that's what makes a big difference, and we've grown some really good relationships with these people. And there's kids that we've known for years and that we've had to the racetrack, and now they're healthy and good to go. You know what I mean? Like they've beat everything that they had to battle, and that's really cool to see. And man, it's just it's life changing for sure. I tell my guys all the time, I'm like, listen, if you think you're having a bad day, you need to come with me one time and just hang out a little bit and watch what goes on, because man, we're very fortunate to have what we have, and to be healthy and to be able to do the things we do, like race on the weekends. You know what I mean? So if we can give back a little bit of time, that's cool for me, and anything we can do to help.
I think it's awesome to see. All right, so we're going into Richmond. You're back with a vengeance. It's Josh Williams. You'll see him in the 92 Chevy Camaro for DGM Racing this Saturday. Josh, we wish you all the luck in the world. If you don't mind coming back the next time you do something outlandish, we'd love to have you. And like I said, I'd love to cook some cowboy candy with your wife. It's respectfully when we're down in Talladega.
Let's do it. Yeah, we 811 call before you dig car this weekend, so looking forward to that, man. And we're going to put a lot of effort into this race coming back here and try to make a splash. So maybe I'll come back on soon after winning Richmond.
Oh, that'd be
Would
fucking
love it.
fantastic. All right, well, this is Josh Williams. Thank you so much, Josh.
Good luck, Josh.
Hey, see you in Talladega. We'll get some food.
Wow,
Yes,
it's gonna be
sir.
nice. Thank you so much, Josh. That was perfect.
You're the man. Appreciate it.
Hey, no, get with me or whatever. Get with Megan. Let's do some stuff, man. I told Treasure about it, and she's like, oh my God. She's like, why do people always know me? I'm like, you have almost 3 million followers on TikTok.
It's so strange because as I'm following her, honest to God, and you can leave this in, my whole TikTok my whole TikTok stream is beautiful women and recipes. And the recipes are usually from the ugliest people we've ever seen. And again, like I had mentioned, his wife's a beautiful woman who does recipes, so she's all over my fucking feed. You know what I mean? Like, so it was perfect. And she makes like shit that's just simple and delicious, and she doesn't even cook with recipes too much. She's like, just put in as much garlic as you feel and all that stuff. So it's extraordinary. I'm dead serious. I would cook with her in a goddamn instant. You know what I mean? Respectfully, again.
I tell her all the time I'm married to a famous person.
That's awesome. Alrighty, so give everybody our best. I was trying to get up lines while we were talking to you on the Barstool Sportsbook just to see, and I had to look up the Josh 6 Williams thing because I had forgot what the website was, in case you wonder why I was looking at my phone. But I appreciate everything with you, and I hope you have the best of luck this weekend.
Yeah, man. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. Anytime you want to chat, just hit me up, man.
Excellent. Talk to you soon, Josh.
Thank you, guys. Nice hoodie, by the way.
Thank you.
All right, so that was Josh Williams. He's a great guy, Spider. I can't help but root for certain people within NASCAR. We have some of our favorites, and I think one of my favorites now in the Xfinity Series is Josh Williams. So I hope we meet up with him and his wife Bonk in a Talladega.
Yeah, no, he's the man. It's great getting to see these drivers. I mean, obviously everyone saw what happened on track with him, but getting to speak with him after and getting the actual personality and getting to hear from them is always very cool. So Josh quickly becoming one of my favorite Xfinity drivers.
And I think I'm not going to mention it anymore after this, but I think with what Josh had done, the Hendrick fine and punishment then being overturned, what's happening with Denny, there's a lot of smoke. There's a lot of smoke this year in NASCAR between the drivers and NASCAR. So I think it's just something that we're going to try and stay on top of. But that's it. So we're done with Richmond. We're going to go into Bristol. I'm very excited about the dirt race. So, again, this podcast is brought to you by NASCAR. The Cup Series returns to action this Sunday with the Food City Dirt Race at Bristol Motor Speedway, 7 p.m. on Fox. Kyle Busch is the defending race winner. Bristol Motor Speedway is just over a half mile, 0.533 mile dirt oval. It's running 250 laps, which is 133 miles. And again, it's 7 p.m. Eastern time this Sunday on Fox. Outside of Sunday, one of our good guys, Chase Briscoe, announced that he'll drive the Weather Guard truck race on dirt at Bristol on Saturday night. It will be Briscoe's return to the Truck Series for the first time since the 2021 season. I don't know if I want to put it on the card just yet because I want to see a little bit closer to the race. But I think I'm going to take Chase in this one. But we'll see on that. And that's going to bring us right into picking the tires. So picking the tires, Barstool Sportsbook provides us with the lines. We provide you guys with the picks. Quiggs had to jump out because he had to go to a very high up important meeting. You have his pick, Spider. Why don't you start off with
Yeah,
him?
I'm going to start with Quiggs' pick. He's got 3 for us. He likes 2 guys outright. He likes one guy you mentioned as a guy that I like this week. Chase Briscoe, currently 9-1 on the Barstool Sportsbook to win it all. He looked really good here last year. And, I got to say that I'm in agreement with Quiggs on liking Briscoe for this week. His other outright pick is a little bit juicy, double the odds, and Ryan Blaney, 18-1. Quiggs said that he thinks Ryan Blaney has a good shot to win the race, and he finished here 5th last year, so clearly going to be a threat. And another play that he liked, the third and final play on Quiggs' card this week, was Daniel Suarez plus 171 to finish ahead of Tyler Reddick. I can't say I like this one, but Quiggs' logic was that should something happen to Tyler Reddick, which is quite possible at a dirt race with a lot of variables like we will see this Sunday, Daniel Suarez is another guy that has great experience here, and the door should be wide open for him. So once again, Quiggs is on Chase Briscoe plus 900, Ryan Blaney plus 1,800, and Daniel Suarez to finish ahead of Tyler Reddick plus 171 on the Barstool Sportsbook Large. What do you got?
I looked at those head-to-head matchups. I didn't see anything. Not the sportsbook's fault, but I just didn't see anything that jumped out at me. I didn't even venture into the Suarez versus Reddick, but I almost agree with them. It's one of those things where Reddick either wins the race or doesn't finish. It's been that type of year with Reddick. So I'm going a different direction. As far as the chalk pick, I like Christopher Bell. I like Christopher Bell on dirt at plus 650. I think that's some pretty good value still. Because he's one of the heavy favorites, but I'll take him at plus 650. And then for a little bit of a longer shot, I like Joey at 14-1. I'm going to take Joey Logano at plus 1,400. Then I'm going to throw in a couple of top threes, one top 3 and 2 top 5s. I like Ricky Stenhouse as a top 3 at plus 585, getting almost 6-1. Ricky had told us that he feels good going into Bristol. It's one of the ones he told us to watch out for when we bumped into him at the track. And then top 5s, I'm going a little bit longer shots. I'm going to take Austin Dillon at plus 700 and then Justin Haley at plus 850. So I'm going Bell, Logano, Ricky, Austin Dillon, and Justin Haley. First 2 to win, top 3, and then the last 2 to do top 5. Are you taking Larson?
I like both Kyles again this week, Large. I like Kyle Larson. I like Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch, defending champion. Granted, it was a little bit of bumping and banging that got him the win last year, but he's 12-1. I think that's pretty good value on him there when the favorites are all, 5.5, 6.5 to 1 between Reddick, Larson, and Bell. I also think there's value in Quiggs' pick in Chase Briscoe, 9-1. He ran down Tyler Reddick on the last lap and almost had the win. He unfortunately took himself out while taking out Reddick as well. So Kyle Busch ended up stealing the win. But I think Briscoe looked really good last year. And Stewart-Haas, this is a great opportunity for them to make some noise. So I like the Chase Briscoe 9-1. I like both Kyles, and I like our guy Tyler Reddick. But I know that's pretty much, I'm just throwing darts at this point. I'll tell you what I do like. I like Tyler Reddick to win the Cup plus 1,300 right now. I think there's some value in that. A lot of the guys at the top are currently 8-1, including Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, William Byron, a few others. But Also, I want to mention quick, I love the fact that Barstool Sportsbook this week added Championship 4 odds. So you can take drivers to make the Championship 4 right now. I like Kyle Larson there to make the Championship 4 plus 110. I know that's pretty much a pick 'em, but I still like him to get it done.
Yeah, I like the Reddick to win the championship, especially at that long odds, because we were talking about what road courses remain. Thinking that Reddick's going to pick up another road course win after his domination at Coda. But I will tell you, in 2022, there were 6 different winners in the 6 short tracks on the schedule. So that's one of the reasons why I kind of stayed away from Larson. I think on the short tracks, it gets to be a little bit wide open. I don't know if he's going to be able to, I know it's one of those things that dirt is a little bit different than what we saw at Richmond, but that's what made me jump off of Larson. One of the other things that we definitely have to mention, and I couldn't think of a better person to model it, is the merch. I mean, we have the hoodie in the store right now. So we have the traditional NASCAR Barstool Plus NASCAR hoodie that Spider, when he wears it at the track, people ask him all the time if they can get it. And they discontinued it for a while, and now it's back. So we're putting the hoodie on first, and we're trying to design a bunch of T-shirts and hats that we're going to put on second. But one of the things that they judge us on is our ability to move merch. So if you need a hoodie and you want a good-looking, dark NASCAR Barstool hoodie, nobody looks better in it than Spider. And you can get it on the Barstool store.
So comfortable,
dial those
Lars.
up today. Yeah, it's absolutely perfect. All right, so that's it. So we gave you a shitload of picks this week.
Almost too many picks. You know
what?
what?
That's my whole thing. I gave what, 5? Yeah, 5, picks. But I think with these long odds, you can afford to do that. Like Justin Haley paying 800, 850 is a top 5. So I think you can kind of spread it out a little bit. And not all the picks were necessarily chalk, so I don't feel too bad about it.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I'm pretty chalky here, but like I said, I think it's going to be the usual suspects up front for this dirt race. I'm super excited to watch. Last year's race was unbelievable, especially the white flag beating and banging between Briscoe and Reddick, and then Kyle Busch getting the win. So super fun. Another kind of unique race that NASCAR has on their schedule. I'm very excited for this Sunday.
All right, so get your ass to the Barstool Sports store to get a hoodie. Get your ass to the Barstool Sports book to play some bets. And get your ass onto a couch at 7 p.m. on Sunday to watch the Bristol Motor Speedway dirt race, 7 p.m. on Fox. Talk to you guys next week.